Good day, everyone. I will begin by introducing the importance of research ethics in quantitative research. Research ethics is important because it helps protect the integrity, validity, and credibility of academic research. In quantitative research, trustworthy finding depends on a strong research design, valid instruments, reliable data, and appropriate analysis. This means that ethics and methodology are closely connected. If the research design is weak, the finding may become inaccurate, biased, or misleading. Therefore, researchers must conduct their studies honestly, responsibly, and transparently. A critical design flaw is not only a technical problem, it can affect the quality and trustworthiness of the whole study. For example, a weak design may affect internal validity, which means the result may not truly explain what the researchers wants to study. It may also affect external validity, which means the findings may not be applied to other groups or settings. Because of this, design flaw can lead to misleading findings and reduce trust in the research. In this scenario, the flaw may happen during data collection or data analysis. Some common methodological flaws include incorrect sampling, weak instrument validity, measurement errors, inappropriate statistical analysis, and uncontrolled variables. There are also questionable research practice such as p-hacking and hacking. These practices may make the result appear stronger they really are. These flaws are serious because they can affect the accuracy of the finding and lead to wrong conclusions. Once the researchers discovers the flaw, the issue becomes an ethical responsibility. If the researcher knows that the study is flawed but still present the findings as valid, this may mislead readers, other researchers, institutions, and policymakers. Ethical research requires honesty, transparency, accountability, and responsibility. Therefore, the researcher should not hide or ignore the flaw. Correcting or disclosing the problem is part of maintaining research integrity. In this situation, the researcher has two choices. The first option is to continue the study and publish the result without correcting the flaw. This may save time, but it can produce invalid and misleading findings. The second option is to stop the study, correct the flaw, and restart the research. Although this may delay publications and increase competitions, it is the more ethical decisions. This option protects research integrity and help produce more trustworthy findings. To conclude my part, this scenario shows that a methodological flaw is not only about research design, it is about ethical decision making and the researcher's responsibility to protect the credibility of academic knowledge.
Thank you, Mr. Tan, for the introduction and overview of the topic. After examining the ethical dilemma faced by the researcher, we now turn to the ethical principles that should guide the decision-making process. When a major flaw is discovered in a quantitative study, the researcher must make decisions based on ethical responsibility rather than publication pressure, competition, or time constraint. Six key ethical principles provide the foundation for making an ethical and professional decision in this situation. These principles are integrity, beneficence, non-maleficence, accountability, transparency, and scientific responsibility. Together, these principles provide a framework for evaluating the available option and determining the most ethically responsible course of action. Let us now look at each of these principles in more detail. The first principle is integrity, which requires researchers to be honest, transparent, and accurate when conducting and reporting research. The second principle is beneficence. Research should contribute positively to society and educational development while generating meaningful benefit for stakeholders. The third principle is non-maleficence, which means avoiding harm. Researchers should prevent harm that may result from misleading or inaccurate findings. The fourth principle is accountability. Researchers are responsible for the quality, credibility, and impact of their work. The fifth principle is transparency. Any limitations, weakness, or methodological concern should be disclosed openly to allow proper interpretation of findings. Finally, scientific responsibility requires researchers to ensure that their findings are valid, reliable, and trustworthy while adhering to accepted scientific standards. Together, these principles play a critical role in maintaining public trust and scientific integrity. Adherence to ethical principles enhance methodological rigor, support long-term research sustainability, and promotes responsible knowledge dissemination across academic and professional contexts. In educational research, ethical sensitivity is particularly important because research findings often influence educational practices, institutional decision making, and policy development. Therefore, researchers must consistently uphold these ethical principles to ensure that their works contribute positively to both scholarship and society. The six ethical principles discussed provide an important framework for guiding researchers when they encounter complex ethical dilemma. These principles highlight the importance of maintaining research integrity, protecting stakeholders, and preserving the credibility of academic inquiry. In my opinion, integrity, transparency, and scientific responsibility are particularly important because they require researchers to ensure that research findings are accurate, trustworthy, and supported by sound evidence. In the context of this scenario, these principles remind researchers that ethical responsibility should always take precedence over publication pressure or personal interest. As a result, ethical decision making is closely linked to the quality of the research findings. This connection leads directly to the next discussion of the importance of validity and reliability in quantitative research. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Fauzana. I would like to present on validity and integrity of the research. Validity refers to how accurate, trustworthy, and credible a research study is. It helps determine whether the finding truly represent what the researchers intended to measure. Validity is the extent to which a study measures what it claims to measure. A valid study produces findings that are accurate and meaningful. Without validity, research findings may be misleading or unreliable. When we talk about validity aspect and ethical decision in making a research, validity is very important because it ensures accuracy of finding, increase credibility of the study, support the evidence-based practice, help researchers make appropriate conclusions, enhance trust among readers and stakeholders. Therefore, poor validity may lead to incorrect decisions, especially in fields like healthcare, education, and social sciences. For internal validity, it refers to whether the study accurately show a cause and effect relationship between variables. For example, a researcher wants to know whether a new teaching method improves students' performance. Internal validity ensure that the improvement is truly caused by the teaching method and not by the other factor. Therefore, The importance of internal validity, it was shown by accurate causal inference, validity of research finding, effective decision making, ethical consideration, resource allocation, building cumulative knowledge, and also enhance reproducibility of every research. Accurate causal inference is referred to the process of determining whether one variable directly causes changes in another variable. An accurate causal inference occurs when researchers can confidently conclude that the independent variable truly caused the observed outcome and not other external factor. For the validity of research finding, it shows that the findings accurately reflect reality and can be trusted as a meaningful evidence. Therefore, valid research contribute to reliable knowledge and also to the evidence-based practice. For the effective decision making, it refers to the ability of researchers to make appropriate, logical, and evidence choice throughout the research process. Most important is good decision improve research quality and reduce error or bias. For the ethical consideration in research, is a principle that guide researchers to conduct studies responsibility and protect participants' right and welfare. It ensures that research is fair, honest, and respectful. For the resource allocations, this is the common challenges that include limited funding, insufficient manpower, time constraint, lack of technology or equipment, and competing with the research priorities. Poor allocations may be delay or weaken the research process, and it can affect the overall quality of the research study. Building cumulative knowledge refers to the process where new research builds upon previous studies, theories, and evidence to expand understanding in particular field. It is very important because it strengthens existing theories, improve evidence-based practice, encourage innovation, prevent duplication of unnecessarily studies, and helps researchers to identify research gap. When we talk about enhanced reproducibility, is important because it will strengthen credibility of finding, reduce false conclusions, support transparency, encourage scientific integrity, and helps validate previous studies. Without reproducibility, research finding may be requestions, especially result cannot be repeated consistently. For the external validity, refer to the ability to generalize the finding to other population, setting, or situation. Therefore, researchers should use appropriate sampling techniques to improve generalizability. For construct validity, this is referred to the measurement accuracy as cited by Sulham 2025. The examiner whether the research instrument truly measure the theoretical concept it is intended to be measured. For example, if we measure stress, the questionnaire must be truly assess stress and not anxiety or depression. So this is very important to ensure that the research does accurately assess what it claims to evaluate. For statistical conclusion validity, this is very important because it becomes an essential to determine whether the statistical result and conclusion of a study are accurate and trustworthy. This refers to the extent to which the conclusion drawn from the statistical analysis are accurate and reliable. It is important because it helps researchers to make accurate interpretations of data, determine significant relationship, reproduce incorrect conclusions, and strengthen the credibility of findings. So, as the researcher's dilemma, imagine a researcher discover a serious flaw in their study design during data collection. So, what is the option that is available? Is either continue the study without corrections, stop the study, correct the flaw, and restart all over again, which is it involved the conflict between research integrity, time pressure, publications competition, resource limitation. So what is the researcher need to do? They must choose between speed and scientific accuracy, and very important with the ethical responsibility must be guide the decisions. For the conclusions, to improve validity, researchers can improve validity by use validate instrument, conduct pilot studies, apply proper sampling method, reduce bias, ensure clear research procedures, and seek for the expert evaluation. Validity is an essential in ensuring that research findings are accurate, credible, and meaningful. A strong research study must demonstrate different aspects of validity to produce trustworthy results and contribute valuable knowledge to practice and education.
Hi everyone, I'm Hemawati. I would like to continue the presentation, and the topic is on research ethics decision point, and we will look into methodological flaw discover for option 1. Option 1, either to continue and study without correction. Um, a researcher discovers a serious flaw in the study design. This creates an ethical dilemma whether to continue or stop and correct the flaw. Why researchers may choose this option, which is continue without correction? There are several reasons: pressure to publish quickly, concern about funding and grants, academic competition, institutional expectation, career advancement, fear of wasting previous investment of time and resources. When we look into potential benefits, faster completion of the study, meets publication deadlines, maintains funding opportunities, avoids delays in career progression. Then the ethical risk is findings may be inaccurate, future researchers may be misled, research credibility may be damaged, public trust in research may decrease, and possible violation of research ethics. The critical evaluation: short term benefits primarily benefit the researchers. Long term risks affect the academic community and society. Research quality and integrity should take precedence over speed. The key of this option: ethical research requires accuracy, transparency, and responsibility. Researchers should prioritize integrity even when facing pressure. Credible research contributes to trustworthy knowledge and better decision making. In conclusion, when a methodological flaw is discovered, ethical responsibility should guide the decision. Protecting research integrity ultimately advances knowledge and public trust. Let us look into consequences of option 1. This option involves continuing the research despite discovering a serious methodological flaw. Although it may save time and resources, it can create significant ethical, scientific, professional, and social consequences. Let's look into ethical consequences. Continuing without correction violates research integrity and honesty. Researchers have a responsibility to report accurate and trustworthy findings. Publishing potentially invalid result is considered unethical. And you need to know the ethical foundation of the research becomes compromised. Scientific consequences: the validity and reliability of the studies are reduced. Incorrect findings may mislead future researchers. Other studies may build upon false evidence, creating a chain of inaccurate knowledge. And we need to know the key point of this consequences: the quality and credibility of scientific knowledge are undermined. Professional consequences: the researcher's reputation may be damaged if flaws are discovered later. Journals may retract published articles. Future funding and collaboration opportunities could be affected. Professional credibility and career growth are at risk. Social consequences: flawed findings may influence poor educational, organizational, or policy decisions. Public trust in research and scientific institutions may decline. Communities relying on the findings may be negatively affected. And the key point: society may lose confidence in scientific research. In conclusion, while continuing the study may seem easier in the short term, the long term consequences are serious. Ethical standards, scientific accuracy, professional reputation, and public trust can all be damaged. Therefore, researchers should prioritize correcting methodological flaw before proceeding with their study. I would like to stress this. Research is not only about producing results, it is about producing trustworthy and ethical knowledge that benefits society. Shall we continue with the option 2? Halt, correct, and restart the study. A serious methodological flaw has been identified. The researchers chooses to stop the study and correct the problem. This option prioritizes research integrity, validity, and reliability. Halt the current research processes. Immediately stop all ongoing research activities. Prevent further collection of potentially flawed data. Avoid compromising the quality of the study. So, if we continuing with the flawed design may produce unreliable findings and ethical concern. Next, identify the methodological flaw. Review the study design carefully, determine the source of the weaknesses, assess how the flaw affect the research outcome. This where the understanding the exact problem is essential before making correction. Number 3, redesign the research procedure. Revise the research design and methodology, modify instruments, sampling methods or procedures, ensure the flow is adequately addressed. By the redesign procedures should better align with the research objective. Then, improve validity and reliability. Strengthen the accuracy of measurements, enhance consistency of data collection, increase confidence in the study findings. It improved validity and reliability lead to more credible and trustworthy results. Recollect data. This option it's optional if it's necessary. Determine whether previous data remain usable. Collect new data if existing data are invalid. Follow the revised methodology during data collection. By recollecting data may require additional time but improves research quality. Then restart the study. Implement the corrected research design. Conduct the study using improved procedures. Maintain ethical and methodological standards. By restarting ensures the research is conducted with greater rigor and integrity. Proceed with confidence. Continue the study using the corrected methodology, generate more reliable and valid findings, enhance the credibility of the research. So when you look the final outcome, it is a stronger study that stakeholders can trust. In conclusion, although restarting the study may require extra time and resources, it protects research integrity. Correcting methodological flaw leads to valid, reliable, and ethically sound findings. Stopping to fix a problem is a sign of responsible and credible research practice. Shall we look into the consequences of restarting the study? After identifying a serious methodological flaw, the researchers decide to stop and restart the study. The decision has both positive and negative consequences. However, the primary goal is to ensure research quality and integrity. Positive consequences there are several benefits. One is ethical benefits, scientific benefits, professional benefits, social benefits. The ethical benefits demonstrate honesty, transparency, and accountability, upholds research ethics and professional standards, prevents the publication of potentially misleading findings. And this ethical research requires researchers to acknowledge and correct mistakes when they occur. Scientific benefits: it improves the validity, reliability of the studies, produces more accurate and credible findings, strengthens the overall quality of the research. By correcting methodological flaws, increases confidence in the study's conclusion. The professional benefits: enhances the researcher's academic reputations, builds trust among peers, institutions, and stakeholders, demonstrates commitment to rigorous research practices. Academic credibility is built through integrity, not speed. Last, the social benefits. Provides accurate evidence for educational policy and practice. Benefits educators, students, and decision makers. Prevents the spread of incorrect information. The reliable research contributes to better decision and outcome in society. When we look into negative consequences, delay publication, increased financial costs, emotional stress, risk of being overtaken by competitors. Delayed publication. Additional time is needed to redesign and conduct the study. Publication and dissemination of findings may be postponed. While delays can be frustrating, they help ensure the quality of the final research. Increased financial cost. More resources may be required for data collection and analysis. Additional funding may be needed to complete the revised studies. By improving research quality, it often involves extra cost and resources. Emotional stress. Researchers may experience disappointment and frustration. Increased workload and pressure can affect motivation. So, despite all the challenges, by addressing flaws is part of responsible research practice. Last, risk of being overtaken by competitors. Other researchers may publish similar findings first. The researcher may lose a potential competitive advantage. Although competition exists, producing trustworthy findings remains more important than publishing quickly. Overall, restarting the studies involves time, cost, and effort. The benefits outweigh the challenges because it protects research integrity. Ultimately, restarting the study leads to more valid, reliable, and trustworthy knowledge. And finally, responsible researchers prioritize quality and credibility over speed and convenience.
This slide compare the two options available to the researcher after discovering a critical flaw in the study designs. The first option is to continue the study without making any correction. This may allow the researcher to publish faster, use fewer resources, and stay ahead of competitor. However, the finding may not be reliable and could lead to the inaccurate or misleading conclusion. The second option is to stop the study, correct the flaw, and restart the research. Although this requires more time and effort, it improves the reliability and the finding and ensure that the research follow the ethical standard. According to the rationing 2018, researchers have a responsibility to ensure that their work is accurate and trustworthy. Similarly, the National Academy of Science, Engineering and Medicine 2017 emphasized the importance of maintaining research integrity. Overall, these comparisons show that trade-off between publication speed and research integrity. While the first option may provide short-term benefit, the second option is more ethical and help maintain the long-term credibility of the scientific research. From a system thinking perspective, the researcher decision should not be viewed in the isolation because it can affect multiple parts of the research ecosystem. Research is interconnected, meaning that one decision can influence future study, professional practice, policy development, and society. If a flawed study is published without correction, other researchers may rely on the incorrect finding, leading to the spread unreliable knowledge. In addition, Policymaker and practitioner may use the published finding to make decisions or develop interventions. It could result in the incorrect decision, wasted resources, and loss of public trust in science. According to the National Academy of Science, Engineering and Medicine's 2017, scientific knowledge depends on the trustworthiness of published research. Similarly, McLeod et al. 2020 emphasized that responsible research practices are essential for maintaining a reliable and sustainable research system. Therefore, from a system thinking perspective, correcting the flow and restarting the study is the more responsible choice because it helps protect the integrity of the scientific community and reduce the risk of negative consequences. To reduce the risk of a critical flaw in research, researchers should adopt evidence-based strategies that promote continuous improvement throughout the research process. Before data collection, pilot study can help identify weaknesses in the study design, while expert consultation and peer review can improve the quality of the research design. During the research process, regular monitoring and evaluation help ensure that procedures are followed correctly. Researchers should also maintain transparency by documenting limitation and reporting any issue that may affect the study outcomes. At the institutional level, research integrity training, ethical guideline monitoring, and effective supervision support responsible research conduct and help maintain high ethical standard. Raoul et al. 2019 emphasized that the importance of embedding good research practice within research institutions. Similarly, Walter 2020 highlight the role of institutional support in the fostering a culture of research integrity, while Samuel and Resnick 2022 stressed the importance of transparency and accountability in ensuring credible and reliable research. Therefore, continued improvement should be viewed as an ongoing process that helps maintain research quality, reliability, and integrity throughout the study. Based on the ethical principle and evidence discussed, I would recommend that the researcher halt the study, correct the flow, and restart the research process. Although this decision may delay publication and require additional resources, it is the most responsible course of action. Proceeding with the flow study may compromise the validity of the finding and increase the risk of disseminating inaccurate information. According to Resnick 2018, researchers have a responsibility to ensure that their findings are accurate and trustworthy. Similarly, Samuel and Resnick 2022 emphasized that honesty, accountability, and integrity are fundamental principles of responsible research conduct. Maintaining research integrity also helps protect public trust in the science and prevent future researchers from relying on potentially flawed evidence. The National Academy of Science, Engineering, and Medicine 2017 highlight that the credibility of scientific knowledge depends on the reliability of published findings. Furthermore, McGill et al. 2020 note that responsible research practice contribute to a sustainable research system, while Bolter 2020 emphasizes the importance of prioritizing integrity over publication pressure. Therefore, despite the short-term challenges, correcting the flow and restarting the study is the most ethical and scientifically sound decision because it ensures the reliability of the finding and support the long-term credibility of scientific research. In conclusion, researchers have a responsibility to ensure that their work is conducted ethically and produce reliable finding. As discussed, a flawed study can affect not only the researcher but also future research, policy development, professional practice, and society as a whole. Evidence-based strategies such as pilot study, peer review, continued monitoring, and research integrity training can help minimize methodological weakness and improve research quality. Although correcting the flow and restarting the study may delay publication, it remains the most ethical and scientifically responsible course of action because it ensures that reliability and credibility of the finding. Ultimately, research integrity should never be compromised for the sake of rapid publication, as the credibility of scientific knowledge depends on the trustworthy research process.